I've got an update on the latest Belmo ball already, and it's an odd situation. Apparently this ball sold out at all the major distributors in the country in a matter of hours after being announced, and there's some interesting news and angles to consider there. While it seems like online retailers like Mart still have some stock, I was hearing from pro shop owners and operators the day after the announcement saying we can't order them anymore, they're all gone. Another report said that someone from Texas completely cleaned Classic out of every 15-pound identity that they had, and Classic is one of the big ones. Now, what does this mean? Well, what it doesn't mean is that you can't necessarily still get one. It doesn't mean that all the ones that were ordered are actually spoken for, and it may not even mean that distributors underestimated demand and didn't order enough, but let's talk about it. The nature of special editions is usually that they're pricier, which can reduce demand, but that correlation doesn't automatically exist. But with the last Belmo ball and the Journey only being around for a few months, and Belmo himself saying he's big into sneakers and wanted to try something different with this release, SPI decided to go the one-and-done route this time around. They communicate that to the distributors who put their orders in based on their best guess on what demand is going to be. Then the ball is announced, and pro shops put their orders in to distributors based on what they think demand is going to be from their customers. The shops I heard from that weren't able to secure any of them said that they just didn't have an order to put in on the day that the balls were announced, or the ball was announced, and didn't fathom that they wouldn't be available a single day later, and as a result, a lot of shops got zero. And before you go too far a different direction, again, this doesn't necessarily mean that distributors didn't order enough in the first place, because if they order a ton of them, they don't end up being as in demand as expected, and they're left with a couple thousand balls holding down pallets in a warehouse. That's a bad situation. A few hours also isn't enough time for pro shops to get any kind of an idea what actual demand is going to be. It's not like they had a pre-order list or customers asking about it to go on, so they're also making their best guess on what demand is going to look like. The issue for me here is that I don't necessarily like the blind ordering situation. I like the way that Motive did it with the EJ Jackal quite a bit more. Announce it, keep orders open for a couple weeks. That way pro shops can gauge interest and have an idea what to order from distributors. And in turn, distributors then have an idea how many to order from the company. And that means you end up being able to satisfy the pre-orders, then have some extras in stock for the random sales later on. But at the same time, you won't or shouldn't end up with a concerning amount of overstock. The biggest key point, though, is that you're able to fully capitalize on the demand that exists rather than limiting yourself, because I think people tend to be more conservative with an unknown, especially following the reception of the Journey, which wasn't bad, it just didn't meet expectations, and the time of the year that we're at right now. So if you're a distributor and Storm says, hey, we have another Belmo ball coming, but this is going to be limited, one and done, whatever you order is what you get, and you have to put that order in before we announce the balls, then you, the distributor, consider the market, the time of the year with leagues almost being over, and the popularity of the Journey. What are you going to do? I'm not full sending, I'll tell you that much. And I don't have any idea how many balls actually got ordered either, whether they were conservative and got surprised, or whether they ordered a ton and still got wiped out anyway. Now, flipping back the opposite direction, doing a surprise drop like this, though, is obviously good for the company and the distributors, because that means the company fulfills an order and their responsibility is done. They don't end up with a regular production ball that underperforms. This also means that distributors move all of their stock too, which is, again, a great situation. Anyone that owns a business knows the pain of being stuck with dead stock, because it increases your overhead, it clutters up your stock room, and the further away from release date you get, the higher the likelihood is that you're going to lose money. They may not have made as much money as they could have out of the deal, but they also had a pretty quick and clean transaction, and possibly some lessons learned for next time. I rarely have any idea how popular a video is going to be. Sometimes I spend a lot of time on something I think is going to be popular that nobody ends up watching, and other times I fast track through something that I don't think anybody's going to care about, but it ends up being popular, and then I wish I'd have put a little bit more time into it. So I'm not playing armchair quarterback here. I'm just walking you through some of the possibilities and the trains of thought. Basically, there's a lot more moving parts to something like this than people realize, and probably even more than I know or am considering, and just because they're all gone at distributors and your shop can't get one anymore doesn't mean that they're all spoken for, or that there aren't actually plenty of them still available in one way or another. So if you want one, you can probably still get one with relatively little difficulty, and once again, the last time I checked before I finished this video up, Mart still had them available in all weights. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.